Welcome to the Buy Box Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hey, and welcome to the Buy Box Experts podcast. This is Eric Stopper. Today's episode is brought to you by Buy Box Experts. Buy Box Experts takes ambitious brands and makes them unbeatable. We are into Q4, and it has been a rocky inventory crisis for most people. Please come and reach out to us. We can help you with your forecasting. We can help you with your business. Go to buyboxexperts.com, click on the free analysis button, and you will be connected with me or a member of my team. Today, I am so happy to be joined by Sherry Wynn Ressler. She's an accomplished entrepreneur and attorney dedicated to helping people and their companies achieve success. Over the last 20 plus years, Sherry has developed a family of companies, including RWR Legal, a firm that was focused on innovators and emerging companies, which in early 2020 partnered with Michael Best, a large national legal and consulting enterprise with over 170 years of experience. She also founded SKU, the first leading consumer product goods accelerator currently operating in Austin, New York City, Dallas, and Minneapolis. She currently is focused on Venture Best, a nationwide ecosystem to connect innovators, high-growth companies, investors, to what they need for success. She told me that her purpose in life is to love people in a powerful way, and I just love that. Sherry, welcome to the show.
Eric, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm excited to be here today to speak with you.
So I kind of want to go into the past first. I want to know firstly about your business that you started when you were 16 years old. What was that? And why did you start it? And where were you when that happened? Were you in Texas?
No, I actually was in California. I'm a California girl. And I started my first business at 16. I had started working when I was about 14 and a half. So I was very much focused on different kinds of entrepreneurial enterprises. But at 16, I started a company called Impressions at a Glance. And it focused on unique business cards and logos. And what was interesting about that company, and kind of is true for me today, is that I didn't actually design the cards. I basically put together people who needed collateral with designers, which is a lot what I do today. So that was my first enterprise in that. And it was not very long lived. It was an interesting and fun exercise. I learned about getting retainers up front because I had certain businesses that wouldn't be there when I showed up with their cards. But I learned a lot, and it was great. And I had also worked in a business. My mom was an entrepreneur and worked in business with her. And it was a rose selling business. So I did that. I mean, there were a lot of different things that we did as a kid. And then my first professional company was my law firm, RWR Legal.
And that was RWR. Tell me about RWR. What was that like? How old were you when you founded that?
I was probably 30 when I founded the firm a while back. And I was working at a multinational company. I was a high school dropout, but I ended up getting into Berkeley Law, and I came through. And when I graduated, I really went to law school because I thought I was going to run for office, and then I didn't run for office. I thought being an entrepreneur was better. I actually worked on campaigns and kind of decided that I was way too outspoken to be a politician. But I ended up first working in the Department of Labor, and then I ended up working a lot with people's pension funds and money. I liked finance, and I loved business and growing business. So I ended up starting in corporate law, and then relocated from DC, New York kind of practice. I left a 1,300 lawyer firm to move to Austin. And I pretty much had located Austin as a city that I thought was going to be a growth city. And I came to participate in their entrepreneurial ecosystem growth. And I thought it would be a great place to kind of grow up myself and grow my business and bring sophisticated legal and access to resources for my clients.
Let's fast forward to Venture Best. You have a lot of things going on, right? Like I read through your LinkedIn, your CV, the notes the conversations that we've had. And you have just touched so many businesses and so many industries over the years. Venture Best sounds like this amazing opportunity that everybody should be a part of, because you connect innovators, high growth companies, and investors, right? If those three people are in a room, that's not the beginning of a joke. That's the beginning of a legacy, right? That's the perfect foundation for somebody to be able to grow their company. So tell me about Venture Best. What do you spend your days doing right now with this company, and what's the overall goal?
Well, I think what's really exciting about the Venture Best ecosystem platform that we're building with this firm is that, number one, I think that Michael Best, the company I had joined, did a great job at creating a fantastic foundation law firm, which, by the way, having a legal foundation is really great for these entrepreneurs and emerging companies. You need this foundation. But going beyond that foundation, which is something that I really strove to do with RWR Legal, but can do in a much bigger way now, which is all of the value-added services. Because as we know, legal can only take you so far. But having a strategic advisor that actually understands kind of what you need and all of the pieces of the puzzle that you need to be successful is invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
And having worked with thousands of companies and now having joined with a group across the country to be able to create a national platform of rock star individuals have worked with these companies, and they've been involved in founding their own companies. They've been involved with building their clients' companies. They've been involved with investing in companies. There's just a tremendous amount of expertise there. Michael, we also have a strategic arm so that there is, you know, all of the government relations and all of the things that come with that. But I really think that this particular opportunity for me, and the reason why I did it, frankly, was so that I could create an ecosystem that I have been able to create within SKU by the founding of my accelerator on a national scale in a multidisciplinary way. So this isn't just CPG, it isn't just technology, it isn't just bioscience, it's brought to bear, and we have experts in each of those fields that can then bring this value-added expertise. And that's just very exciting. The other aspect of this is that I get to focus a lot on the money. I tend to build ecosystems that take into account all of the stakeholders. In other words, I think people sometimes think of mentorship or acceleration or whatever you're doing to work with people as we're just all here to grow this kid company, which, by the way, is a great endeavor. And yes, we really want our portfolio companies to be successful, right? And we want our clients to be successful. But what this is really enabling us to do is to have a fantastic place to work where you are actually working in an amazing rockstar entrepreneurial environment with these other people that are where you're learning every day, right? Because we really want to be entrepreneurs. The people that are in this practice have have the entrepreneurial spirit and experience to want to be lifetime learners, share the values that our clients have, but with professional insight to be able to effectively move the needle. And that is what has really made the difference for my clients in the law firm, my clients in Venture Best, and with SKU.
It sounds so. You talk about the money, and a lot of the things that you just mentioned are very cultural, right? Building an entrepreneurial culture inside of these businesses. When you're looking at a portfolio company or somebody that you're maybe evaluating to bring into the fold of Venture Best or SKU for that matter, are there glaring things that you can point to the moment that you step into the door of a business that say this is a problem and needs to change immediately, or an artifact that might be on the flip side really good and you say, hey, let's like double down on whatever this thing is?
I think that there are the people that are in the Venture Best practice have had the kind of experience where you do get into a room with the founders and with the group of people who are running that business and look at a few things, and you know right away, actually, I mean, yes, it's entrepreneurship is an art, right? There's a luck, but then there is a science. Um, if you've got somebody who can't live and learn, who can't take feedback, who isn't prepared to be flexible, I mean, you're not going to go anywhere. right? There's an education process, and there's a lot of kind of love you bring to the table in that education process, right?
Mm.
Because we are all learning. And I think being able to share as a person who's a fellow entrepreneur and in the world also as a learner, where I am opening new businesses and I am making the same mistakes you are, still trying to find the right person as I build these ecosystems for success. Um, for clients, I mean, how much time and money do we waste doing things that are not in our expertise, right? I mean, this is just a universal issue. Or how do you know what the right money is? I mean,
Mhm.
there is a lot of money and networking happening with money, but trying to find the right partners and people to work with is, it could be a job in and of itself. And when you're trying to run a company at the same time, that can be quite difficult.
Bringing
So what we really want to do is we want to be able to set things up in a way, and that's why I'm so focused on building this platform with Venture Best, where we can set things up in such a way where you're dialing in on a lot of these things. Hopefully, you're getting the right people. The people that you're meeting and the referrals you're being made to have actually been vetted, and you're understanding, like, we understand now what people need. Well, who is their ideal client? Who do they want to serve? And, that is the objective. And then there's all the subjective. Who are you really going to love working with? Who are you going to enjoy working with? Who's going to actually help you be successful? I mean, it is the dialing in of all of that and being able to put it all together for people that can really move the needle for the company and help their success.
So when a company is coming into the fold of Venture Best and they're trying to set up this ecosystem, is there how do they engage? Like, talk me through the nuts and bolts of how it works. Do they hire Venture Best on a retainer basis, and then you guys come in and you're working with their whole team on a day-to-day, weekly, monthly basis, like looking at reports and financials and all this kind of stuff? What's like the meat of the business? How do you guys operate with your clients?
So I'm going to start by saying that this is something that I've joined the firm to help develop as well. So, and I hope that this will continue to evolve as we're doing what we're doing. But I can tell you today what we do that is very effective. You're hiring Michael Best because Michael Best is our law firm, and you come through the firm, which affords you all of the access to our legal resources. And that is the way you currently engage with us. We are entertaining other ways to engage with us, but today it's that way.
Okay.
I am a partner for strategic development. What that means is that I am a value add partner that you can also hire for growth consulting and other kinds of consulting. But often what happens is that attorneys in the firm who have clients that are interested in the ecosystems that I have to offer will set up meetings with me, and we will work together and partner together along with other experts in the firm to design what we think this client needs for success. Um, the the fantastic thing is that it's really kind of, this is a growth and extension of what lawyers used to think of as being a company's general counsel. You have all the law, but you also deeply understand their business, what it is they're trying to accomplish. And if done well, you're also a business consultant, right? So what Venture Best is a growth consulting arm that then sets you up with the legal, because the infrastructure is important. It's just going to be important. And also our financial networks are important that have been developed through this, 171 years. I mean, there's a lot of financial networks. That's very important. But I would say where the magic is the way you interact with us, the kind of relationship you have with us, the fact that you can call us about legal as well as business matters, and we can either answer that question or get you to the right person to answer that question. And we're looking at the business holistically as to what it is you're trying to accomplish. So that's the way you would engage with us. And then to the extent that there are projects that get done, those get scoped out. So there might be a project in a particular, here's how we're setting you up and getting you ready for financing or for funding. But I mean, in SKU, we're winding back to what is the money for? I mean, one of the problems we have when we're entrepreneurs and we think we need to raise money, which everybody thinks they need $1 million. I need $1 million. That's the good round number. I mean, although now it's gotten to be a lot more, but $1 million. But often, what is the money for? Should you be raising money right now? What kind of money? And I think that's all very important to be able to set up so that you can be successful, right? And then the question's going to be, given the answers to those questions, that is going to determine then what kind of money you need. Are you looking for, often it's beyond friends and family, but seed, is it what kind of relationships do you need? And I think starting those relationships early, because often the best way to get money is to get relationships. My focus is on the relationship. And if you have those relationships, money will follow.
So do you ever find a scenario where the founders or the people who are operating a business just simply don't know how much things cost inside of their business?
All the time. I mean, I think that's just what it is. I mean, let's put it this way. We work with a lot of serial entrepreneurs. Those are people that, like me, you've gone out, you've started a business, you figure out how expensive everything is, you've hired all the wrong people, you've made all the mistakes. It gets a lot easier, right? But then we work with a lot of people who have no idea. And I think one of the things that's really helpful, and this is one of the reasons why entrepreneurs need to hear it from more than one person, is that, and share the experience of the fact that either you don't know what you don't know, B, you think you know everything. We have that, which, by the way, entrepreneurs, to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to be really confident. Some of that confidence is well-founded. Some of it is because you have no idea what you should not be confident about. Okay, I mean, right? This is just, welcome to humanity. And I think what it is being able to have people around you that you can trust to be able to share with you in such a way, and share experiences and share knowledge in such a way where we're really helping to educate. And that takes a very service-minded, it's a service attitude, and it's a passion for their business, and it's a passion for their success. And you can't really manufacture that. And I think that really, I think, frankly, that is one of the things that people feel is missing from the practice of law, right? It's a reason why the practice of law, people think, well, it can be commoditized, it can be this, but the reason why I truly believe that lawyers should be the ones that are trusted advisors is it's actually grounded in something that is legally educated and informed. And I always felt that the lawyers, we have all these consultants that actually didn't have the professional experience that were advising people. And by the way, I think there's amazing people out there, and there's, I'm not casting dispersions on anyone. There's amazing people doing amazing work in lots of ways, but there is a room and opportunity for a national entrepreneurial practice. And I'm very excited about this, and that is what we are going to accomplish. We are accomplishing to some level, but I'd like to see us accomplish even on a greater level to where it is nationally recognized for VentureBest.
I think that this is all incredible. Like when I evaluate businesses, because this is, I'm on a small scale. I'm talking with consumer companies, product companies, and you can always tell there's like something is wrong with the way that they're making decisions. When you are getting them into these ecosystems and giving them the strategic counsel, is there ever a tried and true process of helping the main stakeholders of the business like really figure out what is important? Is there like a session that you take them into the mountains and just like help them really get in with their roots and figure out like what's important to them? Is there a process that you take them through like that? Is there like a cultural paradigm model that you take these companies through and try to orient them at the right direction? Like what are some of the first things that you do when you're working with these business that have become systematic, that can just like fix some of the glaring issues that are in a business?
That's such a good question. Um, I think that all those things that you mentioned are fantastic, and they get, I think that depending upon the amount of time you have with somebody, yeah, I mean, you need, in a sense, to be inputting a tremendous amount of information quickly to people. And how do you do that? And I will say that I mean, I am an ecosystem entrepreneur. That's what I do. So I would say that um, what SKU, and I'll use SKU as an example, and I'll use SKU as an example, and then I can talk about how that works in something that's not recognized as a pure accelerator. The reason why SKU was able to have the impact that it had in really developing and bringing together CPG in Austin, which we are now a recognized CPG community, a hub
Mm-hmm.
for CPG. And when we started, we had some disparate CPG companies. One of my co-founders, Clayton Christopher, who was with Kavu and now is just everything he touches turns to gold. I mean, he's and Deep Eddy and everything that he has done and is still doing. When we came together to do this, it was because we really wanted to build an ecosystem that would help these companies and bring together Austin. And SKU was actually a really good experiment on how best to do this. And when we did it, niche acceleration, in other words, non-tech or app accelerators simply didn't exist. And Techstars had kind of started. Like there was Y Combinator and everything was very new. But what we really wanted to do, so there was a lot of things we wanted to do. We wanted to build a community and we wanted to help people be successful, and then have an education program and really do exactly what you're talking about. How do you take somebody who is passionate about their business? Because one of the things about CPG that I love is that it often has a story. It's naturally diverse. I loved the natural diversity. Like there's women companies and couple companies and, all of the different things that come and nationalities, right, that drive the type of CPG. And just, I loved the mix of that, right? So how do we do that well? And I think one of the things that we did is, number one, when we surrounded people, when we bring people into that process, there is a very specific structure about how we have people engage with each other. We were one of the first niche accelerators, and we told our mentors, we want you to pay, because we're doing this, please pay $10,000. I think it was 5 the first year, but then now it's like 10 or 15. Please pay this money so you can work really hard. And I remember when I was talking to people about it, people said, why in the world would people do this? And I said, because we're really committed to what we're doing. And it's really, we want to see what's going to happen. And by the way, you'll get a sliver of the company, a really small sliver, but we have no idea if it's ever going to work. But this is not, don't think of this. We're not a fund, not a finance play. We're a community builder, ecosystem development. I mean, this is it. But what ended up happening is that we ended up having the most amazing stakeholders, and we really looked at what it is they wanted to accomplish. So what we looked at is we looked at investors who wanted to know each other, rock stars who wanted to know each other. And I think by focusing on not just what you're doing for the entrepreneur, but what you're doing for everyone in that ecosystem, to where everybody's excited to engage, what you get is very committed people. So what happened is during our track, you would have all these mentors that are available to you, but you have your mentor team. Well, we hadn't set it up that anybody was going to stay as people's board of advisors, or those mentor teams were going to stay together, but they ended up staying together. Because of the way it was designed. It was designed to have every person in that ecosystem get something out of the involvement. Whether it was just that you got to build a community, or when we ended up in 3.5 years having Epic Bar sell for $100 million to General Mills, right? And have Siete Family Foods, this amazing healthy Mexican food, tortilla, gluten-free company, which is now going to just this incredible now cultural phenomenon, this company. When they go out and they raise and they are moving and shaking in such a way. I mean, it's very exciting, right? That was very energizing. And that was kind of the reason why we decided to really scale it. But I think there's a process that has to happen. So how does, and that process takes the course over, we have some programs that are 9 weeks, some over 14 weeks, but it's very dialed in as to mentors that you're going to talk to, subject matter experts you're going to talk to, investors you're going to talk to, exactly what you need to be doing with your product, your brand, your scale. I mean, it is full on an MBA on your business, along with experts. So having that and then teaching you how to do that as you go forward, so that when you are actually raising capital, you are raising capital knowing what you're getting. But let me tell you what else is happening. These companies that go through our accelerator and they succeed, they have all of these mentors that can testify to the fact that this is a great company. And when people who are not in CPG that wanted to start investing, because back when I started this in 2011, investing in consumer product goods was not a thing.
Wasn't cool.
It was not cool. It was not sexy, which we always used to joke that our events were the sexiest events because we had all the women, we had all this diversity, we had a party. We weren't very uptight, so it's really funny. People come to our events and think, man, this is really cool. And, plus we had all the branders. So of course, everybody was running around with all the salespeople, and they got to eat all the food, which of course, anytime you feed anybody or give them alcohol, they love you. It just turned out to be really fun. So our events would have 500 or 600 people in them. We would have, today we're doing a lot on Zoom and combination, but but I think what's very exciting about that is that's how that ended up getting wired in for SKU, right? It's very intentional. And I think mentors come to me all the time and they say, I had one mentor say, I do business with a SKU mentor at least once a week.
Wow.
I mean, like a very engaged network. And now we have a CPG hub here that is, we have a Naturally Boulder came here with Naturally Austin, which we supported, and a lot of my board members supported, and I was on the founding circle of. So now we've got that bigger, and just of course it has its own momentum, and there's all these amazing people, but it's very exciting. So what I would say of how that could look, so for the company coming through the program, they are infused with a lot, and then things going forward. When somebody comes into the practice, which is Venture Best, and this is something that we're always improving upon, the idea is that your first step is a meeting with a general counsel sort, like me, or like some of our other rock stars that are out there that are really, growth experts that have worked with all these companies and are used to doing this. And in that meeting, we are listening a lot and diagnosing, because people will come in and they'll say, here's all the things that first of all, you're listening to what it is they actually want to accomplish. Like, what are you looking to do with your business? What would you like to accomplish? And hearing that is very important. And then evaluating kind of what they're thinking about that. And then there will be a section of that meeting, which is the legal infrastructure to support it, because that's very important, because you need to have your ducks in a row or you won't be able to raise money and you're going to be disorganized. And that's got to happen, right? That's the basis. But then there is the going beyond, which is all of the general counsel. And that's a lot of listening. Who's on your team? Who do you have on your team? Who do you not have on your team?
Yeah. Who do you trust?
Because that person may not necessarily be somebody you hire. It might be an advisor. What kind of advisors do you have? What kind of expertise do you need? And you just start building that from day one for the clients. And then things happen over time, because you don't want to overwhelm people. Like when people come to these meetings, I mean, you have a kind of a map in your head about kind of what could happen for this business, or at least a start. And then there's just a process of getting to know them. You get to know a person's company a lot doing their legal. Because when you set up a company, you're going to hear a lot about the different members of the company that are going to be participating. because they've got to talk to you about what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing it. You also learn a lot about the dynamics of how they are working together. There's a lot of family companies, and there's special dynamics when you've got a family
Right.
company. And having worked with, both men I was married to, I can tell you there was a family dynamic running through my law firm,
Mhm.
although we took a lot of time to make sure that it was professionalized, and we're very conscious of
Of
that.
course.
But I mean, I think understanding dynamics is very important. And then being able to paper everything, because then, of course, then we say, here are potential partners for you, and then seeing issues. There's just a lot of issue spotting going on. But in the end, it's kind of presenting options to people, educated options, and then trusting the entrepreneur to make the decisions.
I wonder on this front that I've been obsessed with this idea of the and-on cord recently. This Toyota, I think, were the first ones to coin it, where in their manufacturing line, if something was broken, right, if the hammer was behind the person instead of hanging on a hook right in front of them, they could literally pull a cord and it would stop the whole manufacturing line, so they could take the hammer, put it on the hook in front of them, so that they wouldn't have any inefficiencies moving forward. Does someone ever engage with SKU or Venture Best, and the first thing that their first meeting, they just realize, like, your company needs to just like pause everything right now and fix this, and this, and then you can turn it on and then you can grow? Do you guys ever encounter that type of issue where you just got to stop everything and fix stuff and then move forward from there?
It happens. A big way that happens is that you've had people in your company that you think are not your partners that think they're your partners. I mean,
Mm,
that's a classic Facebook example. Who owns it?
right.
We have a lot of issues with that. Um, Sometimes there's a dynamic going on. I mean, I've had people come in and they're going to get divorced.
Oh, right.
And you have to say to them, you need to figure out what you're doing with your relationship before you move forward.
Yeah.
And that is an interesting thing to deliver, but it's one of those things that I have delivered. I mean, I think one of the things is you get really good at telling stories to deliver information, because people want to hear, as a whole, it's much easier to hear, here's my experience and this is how it played out, or here's what I've seen,
Yeah, that makes sense.
versus, there is a high value in sharing from Gestalt, right? This idea of sharing from experience. But yes, that does happen. Or I can tell you their product. I mean, I've had this happen. Somebody comes in and they're exceedingly excited about their product, and their product is not good.
Mm,
Or I've had situations where because a lot of entrepreneurs will come in and they'll say, I have this product and no one else is doing this.
mm.
Well,
Wrong. No, there's 11 people
no,
doing what you're doing. That happens
no,
all the time with us too. Do a search on
nobody's doing
Amazon
that.
for your product.
Or, the brand. I mean, there's any number of things that are kind of showstoppers. But I would say that, I'm a pretty positive person. I share that with my entrepreneur clients.
Mhm.
And I'm pretty much into figuring out a way around things if I can. I think that's one of the things that makes the venture best practice really unique, is that, lawyers tend to be hardwired to say no. And I really want a yes, and my group wants a yes, and our clients want a yes. It might be a no, but, you know,
Right. There's a
but
path to get
very
doing it.
solutions oriented as to how it is that people can accomplish what they want to accomplish.
That makes sense. So for our listeners, right, the people who are running businesses, these are brand executives, these are sometimes startup folks that are looking for an edge. What are some of the criteria that they should evaluate in their business and in themselves to either qualify themselves for Venture Best or for SKU, or to disqualify themselves for it? Say, hey, maybe it's not a good fit for me. Like, who should come and talk with you? And how do they know that they should come and talk with you?
Well, I'm going to start off with there's pretty much I pretty much will talk to anybody who can manage to find me, just because I'm a fairly service-oriented person.
Mhm.
So as an individual, we do a lot of mentorship on the side. Okay, but with respect, and that's true for SKU as an organization, if you're not quite ready. And for Venture Best as an organization, one of the things that we want to develop is how do we take clients that are brand new and maybe not quite ready for scaling, but get them ready, right? Because we do work with that. There's doing a startup package and things like that. With SKU, because SKU is matured, um, it's very difficult to get in. I mean, it can be, there's, just because we do have a lot of people that apply, but I think what you're looking at with SKU is having being ready and prepared to scale is really what's happening with SKU. So you've got to have a product, and it's got to have some proven sales most of the time. Although we have had products that are kind of quiet, but have everything lined up behind the scenes that could be a possibility, but it would have to be fairly unique. You need to be in a position to scale and grow. And what that means is a product that is viable. I also think there is SKU is looking at a product and saying, how is this product a company? So let's use Siete as an example. Siete started as a company called Must Be Nutty, and they were selling gluten-free tortillas at Whole Foods, a buck a tortilla, and they couldn't keep them on the shelf. But they had not had a tremendous amount of sales. I mean, they were showing movement, right? So they were able to show that they had velocity, but the actual sales weren't that high. I mean, they were a very new company. So one of them was a student. The other was, a woman that had a gluten-free intolerance, all part of a family. Siete is the 7 family members. And what they did when they went through SKU is they became Siete, and it was a rebrand during the program. And then it was Siete Family Foods or Family Brands. So it went from, the concept of a tortilla to the concept of, here is a really amazing company, right? A brand company.
Yeah.
I think the potential for that company is very important to the people that evaluate it, because we have so many people and so much expertise to bring that we want to be able to power that behind something that's truly ready for growth. I would say in some ways the same is for Venture Best. And remember, Venture Best is multidisciplinary, so it's not just CPG. It's any multi-industry, right? So it can be tech, it can, or bioscience or health, or we have a huge health consulting practice. I mean, it could be several things. But when you're coming in to Venture Best, one of the things that we're going to be looking for are the people that I have in front of me and what they want to accomplish look like something that we really want to do, and something that we can protect. I mean, we look a lot at whether the company has intellectual property that's going to build their value. We want to build their value. And that is something that's going to make a more exciting client for us, right? Because I have a client now in my firm that I was with them. It's Tiff's, they're called Tiff's Treats. And I was with Tiff's. They were baking warm cookies and delivering warm cookies from their dorm room at UT. And they are now a highly, highly successful company across states delivering warm cookies. And you've got to believe in that cookie, right? And we believed in those entrepreneurs because they were awesome. But I think that, how they grew and what they did, and the fact that my firm and my group, my crew that works with them literally could be from first cookie to literally whatever they want to do.
Right.
Is just it's a really powerful ecosystem and provides a tremendous amount of bandwidth for these companies to be able to utilize us. So I would say that that's the ideal client. But sometimes you don't know, right? Did we know? Think about that, right? Especially, you do not know what's going to be sometimes the on fire brand, right? Where's the unicorn? Everybody's trying to figure that out. And there's definitely trends and things that we know are happening. But I mean, SKU has a huge emphasis on health, like, natural and health. And this is Tish Treats makes awesome sugar chocolate
Right.
chip cookies,
Not super healthy,
and they're
but
doing just fine,
delicious.
whereas SKU has got, everything alternative, right?
Right.
So I like the idea of having a bigger platform because, obviously SKU's got one thing it works, or like lots of things it works on. It also works in lots of different industries now. And we are doing health and beauty, and we're doing all kinds of CPG. But I really love to be able to do that in the context of the law firm because you have that legal infrastructure and foundation, and you have the knowledge of that informing everything we're doing with our clients. And so that's I hope that was helpful.
That was incredibly helpful. I think now, how can people get a hold of these firms if they think that they're a good fit, if they want to apply? Where should I send everybody?
Well, we have a website, michaelbest.com,
Okay.
and on that website is our Venture Best group. So www.michaelbest.com. You can always reach me. Feel free to reach out to me, Sherry Wynn Ressler. I have an email address of connect@sherry, SHARI.io. And I would love to talk to anybody that wants to connect with me and help them.
Perfect. On the SKU front too, we've got SKU.is. VentureBest is venturebest.com. Go and reach out to her team. Sherry, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
To finish today's podcast, I want to share some final thoughts. For third-party sellers to be successful on Amazon, you've got to get reviews. We at BuyBox Experts are really big fans of the team over at eComEngine and its tools that help Amazon sellers simplify the process of soliciting reviews from customers who purchase their products. For more information, go to ecomengine.com. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for listening to the BuyBox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.